Welcome then to this session on evidence searching using psychology and behavioral science collection on the new EBSCOhost interface. So in this session, we'll demonstrate the use of the PICO framework in searching this database, PBSC, which is one of the core EBSCOhost research databases. It is available nationally in England, across England, within the NHS. However, I have to add that since you've not yet transitioned to the new interface, it will be running on the classic EBSCOhost. We do have past recordings available, so again, if you need that, please do let me know, and I can send you the copy or the link to it. So we will focus on the new EBSCOhost interface, so you get to see how that works now, based on recent updates and so on. So in this session, obviously, apart from the searching, you'll learn how to create the strategy using the PICO framework, apply wildcards, truncation, as well as precision or proximity search operators, and also the option to set up search alerts and also keep up to date with literature through the publication alerts as well. So just to formally introduce myself, the benefit of those who have not met me or attended one of my sessions, and for those who may be watching online via the recording at a later date, I'm Richard Crooks. I work for the EBSCO Customer Train Services team. I'm based here in the East Midlands in England. I'm a senior customer train specialist now in my, you could say, my 15th year with EBSCO, -1. And I've been previously working as a librarian in the NHS myself prior to joining EBSCO. So welcome to the session. In terms of what we're going to cover then, we'll look at creating the search strategy using the PICO framework, the application of wildcards and truncation, setting up alerts, and also where you can find additional help and support for using this database, and particularly on this interface. So in terms of the actual objectives, my hope is that within this hour, you'll be able to create a search strategy using the PICO framework. And I appreciate many of you have been using PICO for many years, perhaps on CINAHL, Medline, other databases. We'll just see how it applies to this database, in particular related to the content coverage. You'll also be able to apply wildcards and truncation to search strings. It's important to use the EBSCO syntax for that. There are different obviously provider platforms, different databases, and they have different syntax used to enhance the search experience. So we need to use the EBSCO syntax there. You'll be able to create a search alert to keep current with the literature, and also find further help and some more information on EBSCO's databases. Again, that would obviously be for CINAHL, Medline, and so on, but the EBSCO's interface in general. So again, I hope that's what you're expecting from the session this morning. I know some of you may have attended before, perhaps a few months ago. Others may have attended sessions in the past when we ran this on the classic interface. But either way, I hope you'll learn something from this session. So before we get further into the actual searching experience, we'll spend a lot of time on that in the live demonstration. Just want to give you a brief overview of this database of Psychology and Behavioral Sciences Collection, or PBSC as we know it. So you'll see here there's a good quantity of active full-text journals and magazines available. So let me just go back there, sorry. So you can see most of these are peer-reviewed journals as well, by the way. And a key note there, as you see at the bottom of this slide, is that users from subscribing institutions, so if you have a subscription to this, as they do in the NHS England, you can link to full text from citations within APA PsycInfo. So if you also subscribe to APA PsycInfo or have access to it, then you can also link to full text from citation within APA PsycInfo. So what that means is, essentially, if you have a reference in APA PsycInfo, then and it's also indexed in PBSC, then the PBSC full text content will also be available in APA PsycInfo. So we refer to that as smart linking. So basically, the links from EBSCO's full text databases are transferable to other databases on the same platform. So again, a user may start their journey with APA PsycInfo. You've already got PBSC. And then when they come to an article, instead of it just being abstract only, they would have access to the full text content because you also have access to the other database as well. Okay, sorry, just come back there. Okay, in terms of the actual coverage then, you'll see a range of journal titles. Some of these may be familiar to you. So these titles which are indexed in this database are active full text, they're current full text. Up to the present, they have no embargo, which means it creates more accessible content, more accessible full text for your users, for psychologists, psychiatrists, and so on, mental health professionals. So you've got the likes of Counselling Psychology Review, you've got International Journal of Mental Health, for example, and also the Journal of Clinical Child and Adolescent Psychology, among those there. In addition, there's others here, for example, mental health counselling. You've got mental health, religion, and culture. Again, these are active full text. You get access to the current full text. There's no embargoes. There's no 3-month, 6-month, or 12-month embargo on the recent content. So users can get to the up-to-date content when searching this database and gets the full text content for these particular journals. In addition, we have psychology, health and medicine. Also, the therapy today, again, some popular titles, substance use and misuse. Again, active full text, they're current. There's no embargo on these titles. Users can get to the full text content when they're searching. So that's just a sampling of some of the key titles that are available through this particular database. So now we want to look at the matter of PICO or PICOT searching. I'll mention why I say PICOT as well in a moment. So essentially, we have multiple frameworks that you can use in the context of evidence searching the literature. Some of these you may have used previously. We have ones perhaps less well known like COCOPOP, which covers the condition, the context, and the population group. Eclipse, quite a well known one as well. Some of this relates to qualitative research, more clinical research, quantitative studies, and so on. You've got PICO there, which relates to the exposure, or PAO, which relates to outcomes without the comparison. Then you have obviously the very popular clinical framework PICO, which includes the patient population intervention comparison outcomes. And then to complement that, we've also got PICOTs there, which includes the aspect of time. So again, that's another framework that is available. And there's also Spice and Spider. So these are some of the 38 frameworks that were identified by Andrew Booth et al. At SHAR at the University of Sheffield. So they came up with 38 variants of clinical frameworks or frameworks for searching the literature. So you can consult that PDF document to learn more about others that are out there as well. So again, depending on the nature of the research question, the search query, you may use other frameworks and also the type of database you're using. So PICOT is another framework, and this has also been applied to the new interface for EBSCOhost. So whether you're using CINAHL, Medline, or in this case, PBSC. So it features the other aspect of time or type of study. So that means how long would it take to reach the desired outcome? You could be looking at a 6-month time frame, for example, or it could be a lifespan. And then what type of studies are needed as well. So again, that's an additional element of the PICO framework that you could factor in when creating your search strategy using this framework. And you see an example there with the guided search. There is an app available within this interface. We'll see that in a moment, where you can enter those terms and run the search. So basically you enter your keyword free text search terms in the fields provided, and it will construct the Boolean query in relation to those terms. Okay, so it's not intended to use the subject indexing terms there. It's solely the free text terms that you'll be using. And of course, it's not mandatory that you'd use all these fields. Essentially, the P and the I element of PICO, so the population, problem, or patient, plus the intervention are the key elements that you need to populate for this particular app. Comparison may not be applicable, outcome may be implied, and again, time or type of study may not be, again, necessary, as it were. So we'll go there live in a moment to have a quick look at that. Now, in terms of enhancing the search experience, some of you may have seen this in other sessions on Medline and CINAHL that I run, but we have got the truncation symbol there, the asterisk, to search for words with multiple endings, so various expressions of the same term. So if you think of bulimia and bulimic, if you shorten the term and place the asterisk after the L, you will find, the I, you will find bulimia and bulimic in terms of free text searching. You can also add the truncation symbol between terms. So if you're looking at cognitive therapy, you may also want to consider cognitive behavior or cognitive behavioral therapy. So if you put the asterisk between cognitive and therapy, in between those two terms, you'll find all three variations. You'll find results where cognitive therapy is mentioned, cognitive behavioral therapy, or cognitive behavior therapy is mentioned. Now, for exact phrase searching, use double quotation marks. There are various ways you can tweak the basic searching for these databases, and it will be possible to do some phrase searching, but generally speaking, for a definitive exact phrase search, use double quotation marks, and you see the example there with anorexia nervosa, which means that you would find at least one occurrence of that phrase appearing in the citation that you're going to retrieve. So anorexia may be mentioned in a different context separately, but you must at least have one occasion when anorexia nervosa appears. Now, we also got the single character wildcard replacement. So if you think of psychosis and psychoses, you can replace the I and the E and find both variations without having to enter the term twice. Then there's alternate spelling. So for the EBSCO interface, we use the hash wildcard. So if you're looking for pediatrics in UK, US English, as it were, or behavior or color, for example, then you can place the hash wildcard in the appropriate place for that. So for pediatrics, it would be P hash E D, etc. That'll find both variations. For behavior, it would then need to be VIO hash R at the end of the word, and that'll find both variations, the OUR and OR spelling variations. Okay, so again, you have that to refer to post-session as well. Now, just to move on here then, in terms of precision or proximity searching, we support near and within operators. So these can be applied to EBSCO's databases, including PBSC. So near will find words regardless of the order you enter them in. So if you're thinking of disorders related to eating or eating disorders, if you put eating N5 disorders, it would find the word eating near 5 words or less of disorders, as well as disorders within 5 words or less of eating. So regardless of the order in which they appear, and the number there is literal, so it's 5 words, not 4 words or less. Within finds words if they are within a specified word range or maybe less of one another, but in the order in which you enter them. So for example, if you're looking at family therapy, then you could put family within 2 words or less, W2 therapy. Okay. So again, that's the way an example of how you can use the within operator. So that's more restrictive, of course, because it limits your search terms to the order they're entered in. And that may make some sense in some occasions. Now, multiple terms can also be used on either side of the operator. So if you're looking at support or care workers, then you could put support or care in parentheses, N3 worker, and it'll find support worker, care worker, or worker in support or worker in care, etc. Probably not the best example, but I think you understand what I mean. You see, again, this is just open up the way in which you can search for free text search terms without having to enter them multiple times. Okay. So in other words, they're kind of shortcuts, just enhance the search experience to expand what you're looking for. So in terms of this particular search, we have this research question for PICO on PBSC. As you see there, it's in adolescents with eating disorders, how does cognitive behavior therapy, or CBT, compare to family-based therapy, FBT, in improving eating disorder symptoms? So you can see I've clearly highlighted the key terms that I feel are important to search for in order to answer this question or find evidence in relation to this particular question. So we have adolescents, we have who actually have the underlying condition of eating disorders. We've got cognitive behavior therapy as a treatment compared to family-based therapy. And the goal, of course, the outcome is improving eating disorder symptoms. So that clearly and nicely maps into the PICO search. So you can see here now, I've dropped the T element here, just focusing on outcome at the end there, but we've got the population group, adolescents with eating disorders. We've got intervention, cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT, likewise compared to family-based therapy, and then the goal, the outcome is to improve in eating disorders, for the improvement in eating disorders. So progress with that. So with the first column, of course, I've got eating disorders, anorexia, bulimia, etc. listed there. These are the free text keyword search terms that we could be searching in order to retrieve those records that relate to this population group. And of course, factoring in adolescents, young people, teenagers, and youth as well. So we've got the condition plus the actual population. So the problem and the population group there. And below that, in italics and uppercase, we've got the equivalent subject terms. So we may not know what they are initially. We may learn by initial scoping as to what the terms are, but I've listed some there as an example of the kind of things that you'll find: eating disorders, anorexia nervosa, bulimia, binge eating, and so on. These are all index terms that are assigned to content in PBSC that relate to those conditions, etc. Then there's the intervention, of course, cognitive behavioral therapy. It could also be CBT. It could be cognitive therapy as well. So again, we'll think of multiple expressions of the same intervention, as it were. And then for subject terms, you've got cognitive therapy, cognitive psychology, cognitive analytic therapy, and so on. So there could be variations of this. from the index terms that we could use as well and retrieve records that are indexed with those terms. Then there's a comparison. We mentioned family-based therapy. So it could be family-based therapy, it could be FBT, or it could be simply family therapy, which I've not included there. And then in the index, we've got ecological family therapy, family psychotherapy. So again, there may be variations, but they are essentially one and the same. And for the outcome, we're not going to be searching directly for improvement in eating disorders. We really presuppose that will be implied when you run the search comparing the two treatments, CBT or FBT, in relation to this patient group. So this gives you an idea of how to brainstorm, consider what terms we should be using, and also then factor in the subject terms. Again, we'll find those out perhaps typically when we start browsing the thesaurus. So let's move on now to the live demonstration. Again, if you've got any questions, feedback, comments, if you've seen the new interface, if you use it currently, and especially if you use it for PBSC, we'd like to hear from you. But if this is new to you, then please feel free to feedback in the Teams chat with whatever you see, or if I need to review anything with you, please let me know. So I'm now going to just share my desktop with you. So in a moment, you should see PBSC on the new EBSCO interface. Okay, so that's displayed here. We are going to do the initial search, as I mentioned. We are looking at a particular patient or population group. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to start with the population group and then look at eating disorders. So I'm going to do that in that order. So first of all, I'm going to search for young people or adolescents. So I can truncate here. So as I said in the actual PowerPoint, you can use truncation. So variations of adolescent or adolescents, etc. I'm going to add teenage too, because again, this is a synonym. So I'm going to truncate to teen. So that'd be teens, teenagers, etc., or teenaged. I'll add youth as well. Again, another expression we could use. We've also got young person. So I can add young person in quotation marks or young people. Okay, so again, I can use variations here. And there are ways in which you can, once you've run the search, there are ways you can edit these search strings if you think of other terms you can add, or if you want to change them. So I'll talk about editing in due course when we see the search history. And I'm also going to do a title and abstract search here. So I'm going to choose the XB fill code, as you see, where it is here, this one. So you'll see this means we'll search these free text keyword search terms in either of these fields, in the title or abstract field for any article indexed in this database. So we're going to run that first. Click search here. Okay, and then what we want to do is the equivalent subject heading. So again, we're going to start exploring that, and you'll see you've got results below, and you'll see the search history link is there. If I click on the arrow, it will display the search history. So we've got the asset number, S1, XB is the fill code with the terms, including truncation there. The search options that may be applied. Now, these will be generally overruled when we start using the fill codes, but they're listed in any case. We've got the results numbered, and you see the database we're using, and then there's the tools menu. So if you want to edit the search, you click edit and edit the search string. You can add to a project to save it, or you can delete if you've made a mistake and you no longer wish to see that in the search history. So the next step, of course, is to look at the index terms. So I'm going to go to subjects of new search here, click new search, go to subjects, the subjects tab, and you can see we can search for terms in the subjects area, so the index. So essentially what we're going to do is put in teenagers and then just run a search here. And you'll see it comes up with teenagers. So again, that's one of the elements that we were looking at. If I click teenagers here, this is the index term. And then you'll see here what it's used for. So basically for a group of people aged 13 to 18. It's used for adolescents as well, as you can see there. So I can select this term here. When I select the main term and the explode option is selected automatically here, notice these narrow terms are also included. So it includes arts and teenagers, black teenagers, cell phones and teenagers, Christian teenagers, comic books and teenagers. All these are automatically included. Now you could remove some of these if they're not appropriate, but they all relate to a teenage population. So there are a lot of terms to identify groups of teenagers, as it were. So these are index terms assigned to articles where teenagers are a key population. Now, we also have related terms. We had adolescents here as well. We have adolescent psychology. So again, we can also include these as well, because again, we might bring up some other references there. So again, there are more here that are listed We may not include all of these. We've got young adults as well. We'll include those. So again, I'm just going to choose those for now, but we've got the related terms, we've got the narrow terms, which are automatically selected when you select the main term here. And there's a broader term, which actually is youth here. Okay, so again, I can include those. Go to the top of the screen, and I can add to the search here. And you can see it's listed a host of index search terms, subject headings that relate to this database. Notice in this database, unlike CINAHL Medline, the prefix, the field code is DE or descriptor. So when we see DE, it is a subject term related to this specific database, very similar to what you see in API SecInfo. With the API thesaurus, you'll see DE prefixing the thesaurus term. So we're now searching, we click search here, for articles that have been indexed with any of those subject headings so that they would appear in the results list, and we will look to combine them with the original search. So we've got the subject search, which is S2, the set 2. S1 is the keyword search, which is via title or abstract. So what I'll do, I'll group these together. I'll select both. I'll select combine with or. Notice it puts the two sets above, and I'll click search here. Okay, and then we have the set combined. Now there is a bug at the moment which is being looked at. It should be resolved soon, and it's repeating the search string. So the S3 here. So I'm going to delete this. So this is a known issue at the moment, which is under review. I may need to clear my cache, actually my browser, to remove that, but I won't do that now for sake of time. But basically you have the search string combined there with these two sets. Okay, so the next element will be, of course, eating disorders, because we are looking at teenagers who have this underlying condition. So we're going to do that now with the next step, which means we'll look for eating disorders. Now I'm going to factor in some of the elements that we looked at. So I'm going to put in eating into disorder or disordered. So I'm going to translate, truncate that to could be disordered eating as well. I'm also going to put this in parentheses as well initially. Okay, so to search that first, and then I'm going to combine with or. Okay, so anorexia, I'm going to truncate anorexia, so it could be anorexic or anorexia. Likewise with bulimia. So again, I talked about this in the actual PowerPoint in the introduction, so I'll put in just bulimia. Add purge, also purging, and then I will add or vomiting, okay, or binge or being, and that'll be binge eating, binging, etc. So I look for those terms as they appear in, again, the title abstract fields within articles indexed in this database. So again, we'll click the search here. Now, if you spot any errors in my search strings, please let me know. We can edit them quite effectively, the edit option within the search history on a line-by-line basis. So again, I've done that. I've got the now S4. I will then look for the equivalent subject terms. So if I put in go to subjects, look for eating disorders. Okay, so I browse the thesaurus, and not surprisingly, you'll see eating disorders is here. If I click that link, it opens up this page. It gives us the scope note for this condition, what it's used for. I can select the main term. Again, as I do that, the explode option is on automatically, and immediately you can see the narrow terms that are selected, which includes anorexia nervosa, bulimia, etc. Then there are related terms which we might consider, or perhaps not. Okay, so again, if you were to select those, they'll be included. Also broader terms like appetite disorders. But we'll stick with those. So I'm going to jump to the top of the screen, click add to search, and you'll see again the search query here, which relates to the index terms based on eating disorders. Okay, so I click search here. And as we saw earlier, we'll combine the two sets. So S4, which is the total abstract search for eating disorders, combined with S5, the subject terms equivalent. Click combine with or, and then run the search here. Okay, so we've done that. So what we'll do now is again combine the two. So again, you can see it's duplicated the search, but it's a known issue at the moment, which may be resolved. I just need to clear my cache on that. So let me choose see now where S. So I'll delete this one. So again, you can just delete the line quite simply there. Okay, so we've got S4, S5. the two sets there. So what I'm going to do at this stage is group S3, which relates to teenagers, etc., adolescents with eating disorders, S6 in one set. So again, we're going to combine this with and this time and click search here. Okay. So we've got our S7 is the set that we're going to be combining with the other search terms as we go through this. So again, any comments, questions, feedback, please feel free to let me know. I'll just double check here if there's anything come through. Not yet. It's okay. So we're moving on then to the next element, which relates to cognitive therapy or cognitive behavior therapy. So for that, we are going to look at using truncation again. So I will start with, let me just see here. Okay. Cognitive. So I'm going back here. I'll put the asterisk between the terms. Therapy, I'm going to truncate that, so it could be cognitive therapies, etc., as well as cognitive. And I might put that in, we'll just leave that as it is for now, and then CBT. Okay, so this is cognitive therapy. So it could be cognitive therapy or cognitive therapist, could be cognitive behavioral therapy or cognitive behavior therapy. So I'm using truncation this way, and I'll choose from all fields, I'll choose total abstract again. So I think if I'm satisfied with that, I will run this search. You can see what I had from the search combined before, and then go to the equivalent for this. So I'm going to type in within subjects cognitive therapy and just see what we come up with. So again, you may not always know what the preferred index term is, so you can enter a term that's known to you. You can browse the thesaurus in this fashion, and you see we have cognitive therapy. So if I click on cognitive therapy, you'll see the scope now again, what it's used for. So it's used for CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, etc., and so on, and cognitive behavioral therapy. So not surprisingly, and if we select the main term, it's going to include these other terms as well. We also have cognitive psychology. Perhaps we can factor that in as well. Broader psychotherapy, but we'll probably leave that off for now. So we've got those terms selected. The main term, which is exploded to include the narrow terms, which are clearly listed, and then the related terms for which is cognitive therapy in this psychology in this instance. So again, I click add to search. The search string is added to the top search box. Again, the field code, the DE, is there to indicate these are the subject terms combined with a Boolean OR, and then click search. So you can retrieve any article index with any of those subject terms in that result set. So now this is S9, and again, as you would expect, we can combine the two sets together. So this is the intervention for PICO. We'll combine with OR, the two sets combined above, and then we click search. Okay, so again, I'm just going to go through the process of just deleting this duplicate search string. Okay, so now we're going to look at family therapy. Again, we realize it could be rendered in different ways. So for example, we can have family asterisk therapy or therapist. So that's family-based therapy or family-based therapist or family therapy, family therapist, etc. We've got FBT as the abbreviation. And then we've also got, could be family counseling as well. So we could put family counseling. Let's see. Sorry, family asterisk counseling. Okay. Again, you could truncate that. It could be counselor as well. So you could put these also in parentheses. I could just differentiate them, and then we'll put this one also in parentheses as well. So that's a nested search, and then this one. Okay. So we've got those three search strings, basically family therapy and the related terms, FBT, and also family counseling as well. And then go for XB search it, and then run the search here. Okay, so we've got results there, and then we're going to look for the equivalent subject terms. This will be the last part, or the last element I think we'll be looking at. So this is the comparison. So we are now going to go to new search again, and then click the subjects tab, and then browse for family therapy. So I just put in family therapy and see how we get on here. Yeah, okay, so you can see here, from the subject tree, it's suggesting or advising we use family psychotherapy. This is the definitive subject term, you know, the DE term, descriptor used in this database to identify content about family therapy. So it could be family-based therapy, etc. And you can see some other examples there. But we're going to click search here or browse here, browse this particular index term. You can see the scope note, what it's used for. So it's used for family group therapy as well. And then you've got family psychotherapy as the main term. You've got broader terms there as well and narrow terms. Now, if I select this one again, you'll see the narrow terms that are also selected, etc. And you've got others, for example, like family therapists. You might want to choose that one as well, and so on. So again, you may want to just go with those ones for now, and then go to the top of the screen, add to the search, and then again retrieve records that are indexed with any of those terms. Okay, so then we'll complete this by combining S11 with S12. So anything related to the comparison of family therapy or family-based therapy, and then we'll use the Boolean OR, combined with OR here. Set numbers are displayed in the top search box, and we click search for that set there. So again, you see the search history displayed, and one thing I'll point out here is by default, it's in reverse chronological order, as you can see, which allows you to see where you stopped at, as it were. But if you're going to report on this, for example, in line with Prisma, other checklists, then you may want to just click ID here and resort them, and then you can see the sequence of the search. So the S1, S2 combined with in S3, then there's S4 and S5 combined with S6, and then there's the two combined together, S7, and then we have the other sets, S10 and S14. So we're going to combine all of those now. So the original teenagers with eating disorders, that's S7, to be combined with the intervention, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. And then we have the, in fact, let me just change this a moment, because I'm going to delete this set as well, because this one is also not needed. So I'm going to delete this one to avoid any confusion. Okay. And then I'm going to just, again, go through the steps of combining anything related to adolescents eating disorders, the intervention cognitive therapy or cognitive behavioral therapy, and then compared with family-based therapy. So there's three elements there. Again, we're not searching directly for improvements in reducing the improvement in eating disorders, because it should be implied in the research that we retrieved. So now I've selected all three sets there. I'll use the Boolean and combine with and here, and then I'll run the search. Okay, so now if we scroll down, you'll see we've got these 35 results. Okay, so just 35, of course, we may review this. So we've got the results below. Now you can hide, sorry to scroll there, we can hide the search history above. So it's in the back, it's there, cuts behind the scenes, and then you can see the results here. Okay, and you can see here this evidence-based update. And then particularly item 2 here, family therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy for eating disorders. So this is ideal, really. This is fairly current. It's about a year ago that this was published, and it's a systematic review of meta-analysis. So very high quality evidence in the European Child and Adolescent Psychiatry Journal. So we may want to explore that. We may want to consider maybe the other terms that we should have factored into the search that we didn't do before. So we can look at that now. So for example, you can either expand the abstract, click show more to see if other terms, just to look at the abstract. Maybe some other terms we could have included. You can also expand the list of subheadings that are indexed, that are assigned to this article, and you can expand that here. You can also go, of course, directly into the full text content, the original article, the bibliographic reference, and you can see additional information here with the author fields, the subjects there as well, and the abstract again in its entirety. In addition to that, we also have references listed as well. So this lists the references for this particular article. Again, you can be exploring other articles, other terms. You can check which of these articles are in this database. Obviously, this one's in CINAHL. The full text as well, where it's available. And you can also sort them by the citation count. So this is cited by 31 references. So again, this is one cited by 46. So if you click the citation count highest, you'll see this one here. Cited 97,000. This is, I think this is a book there. Again, this is Prisma reference there actually. So again, you just see the citation count. But if you want to see the actual the most recent articles, you can also see that there too as well. So cited by 12 here. Okay, you can see those listed as well. And then more like this will just basically generate up to 5 articles which are maybe of interest to you. In fact, maybe more than 5 actually. So I will just go back here. If I go to results here, you'll see more like this. So this is what item 2 here. So this has been cited by 12 articles here. Okay. Okay, and they're listed here again. Okay. And then, so you can explore those, even save those. And more like this, again, generates recommended articles based on the metadata that EBSCO has. So if you scroll down, you'll see this reference to, okay, more like this, explore related research within our unique metadata based on the terms you engage with. So it's basically suggesting there's other articles out there that may be of interest based on your search, etc., and the metadata that EBSCO has from the publisher. So again, there's typically 5 references given, and you can scroll through these. You can even comment whether you found the recommendation helpful or not. You can save these. You can view full text when necessary, etc. So some of these will be actually, in the actual database here. So some will be actually available. Okay. Let's see. So obviously with this article, again, if you want to look further and you want to see, is this, other terms that we could be using, you can actually go directly into the article, the PDF. So you have the native article here, as it were, the original copy online. And then there's the article here. And you can also save this, use the bookmark icon. You can generate the citation to this article, by the way. You can copy the citation. So for example, if you're working with APA database, etc., and want to refer, use this, the APA referencing for this article, you can do so, copy that to the clipboard. You can also export the citation as well in RIS format as well, and other formats there, RefWorks and so on. There's also the option to share as well. So you can share to Google Drive, OneDrive. You can create a link to the article as well if you want to post that in a Teams message, WhatsApp, or if you want to send it via email. We've got the email option though as well. Notice that when you email full text content, the PDF and online will be included. So they will receive a copy of the citation and along with the articles themselves. We still offer the print option as well. For those who need it, if you want a hard copy, the print option is there as well. So you can choose your printer and follow the prompts there. And also there is the publication contents as well. So you can look at other articles in the same journal. And then we have the text-to-speech software. So this was introduced for the new platform for PDF articles. So within the classic interface, it's not possible to listen to the audio of an article being read. Neither is it possible to download the MP3, but it is available within the new interface, as you see here. So you've got the download option there and the option to listen to it. We also support increased accessibility. It's one of the reasons why there's a lot of white space on the screen of the new interface. So we have the accessibility support icon here, and this is where a user can request a preferred format. So for example, although this article is available in PDF and HTML, there's Word as an alternative as well. Okay, so so typically it's 3 to 5 business days to receive a copy of that article in your preferred format. So again, support accessibility initiatives and so on. So that's the PDF. One thing to note about other articles as well, I don't know if we've got one here that's maybe in another language. You can translate them. So I think most of these, so for example, if I was to just go back and refine, let's choose an article here, or they're all in English actually, so they're all in English. But one thing I wanted to show you is that we have got the option to, let's go back to this one. If you view the full text online, there's the same options there, the site tool, etc. You can download the article, by the way, as well in these 2 formats, or if you prefer the metadata only in Word or other formats like BibTeX as well. And this does also give you the table of contents as well for this article. You can see the literature search, jump to methodological quality and so on. And then we also have the publication contents and the text-to-speech software. That does give you additional options, which means that you can, change the word color, etc., the speed, and also download MP3 here as well. and again, the accessibility support. But the other feature it has that the PDF doesn't have currently is the translation option. So if you want to translate this from English to another language, you could, or vice versa. So for example, if I go to this one and choose, I know, Danish, then I can translate it into that language. And it is a machine translation, by the way. It's provided by Microsoft. So again, only a native speaker could really verify the accuracy, or if you're fluent in this language, you could verify that. Okay, and then you can revert back to the other language. So again, it means other articles that you may retrieve, which may not be in English, means that there's not a barrier. You can still access that information. You can still read through the article or supply it to a reader if necessary as well. So that's just a brief look at the kind of records that you have. Now, obviously, when you've done a search like this, you may want to save it, you may want to process the records, etc. So you can do that. If, for example, we wanted to save this list of results, we don't have time to review them, then we can just select here, and then we can bookmark. Okay, so you can save currently up to 50 items per page. So this is only 35. That figure will increase to about 500 in due course. So that's being worked on as I speak, as it were. So that's due for release later, at a later time. But at the moment it's up to 50. You can select and save, and those are saved in the default save folder under my dashboard, so you can review them later, etc. Now, if you want to save these beyond the session, you need to create a EBSCO personal user account, or if you have one, you sign in here. So if you click create here, you'll need to fill in this form. Your first name only is needed, email address. You create the password, agree to the data retention, etc., and then create the account, and then you can go in and sign in here. We also support Google sign in, by the way, as well, and then sign in. So that means you'll save those records beyond the session, not just for this session. And what you'll notice currently that when I do this, it's added it to other records. Now we are introducing a bulk delete feature for this, I believe, for this page as well. So again, there will be the option to delete records from this list. Okay. Now, if I go back here to my search, that's just saving records from the page. Alternatively, you may want to download them. You can select download option here. So download, and the choice of formats is there as well, including Word, BibTeX, CSV as well. So you can download from this list. You can also add them to a project. So project is a personal folder you create yourself. So if you're doing numerous evidence searches, whether it's on PBSC, API PsycInfo, and so on, Medline, then you may want to differentiate them and also keep the saved articles together with the original search. So what you can do here is create a project, click new, give it a name, and I'll put in eating disorders and FBT for now. If it's a particular deadline you're working to, then you can put that here, or if a healthcare professional has a particular assignment and they need to finish it by, then they can add dates here, and then you can add free text here if necessary and create that project. So that project is then confirmed as being created. If you go to the dashboard, you'll then see it's listed here. Okay. So I've got the project here. If I open it up, you'll see the records are now saved within this project. Okay. Now, if I go one step further and I want to save the search, I can just do that here. So from the search history, if I go to the search history here, or actually from this page, if I go to the tools menu, you'll see save search, and I can just overwrite this and add the name. I'll just do this, okay, and I can scroll down and then save. Now, if I want to also move that to the projects folder, I can do so. So if I go to saved and then go to my searches tab, I can select this one and I can add it to the project that I created just now. Okay, so then when I go to projects, and now if I look at the projects, you'll see the records are there and the search is there. So the final thing I wanted to show you was the alerts feature as well. So the two types of alerts that we're looking at. One is the search alert itself. So if you want to be alerted to updated content based on your search terms, etc., then if you go to the same menu where you save a search above the result list, create the alert here. You can give it the same name, so overwrite the search string. So eating disorders, I'll just give it that for now. And then you can choose the frequency, so it could be weekly as opposed to daily or monthly. and then you see the query, and then you can just create the alert here. Once you've done that, if you go to the alerts folder on the left, you'll see there's a tab. So we'll do the journals in a moment. Search alerts, and you'll see this is now here, and we have one previously done as well. Okay, so again, I could go in, it's not run yet, go in and delete this one, edit this one, view the results from this one, or delete it, which I'll do so now. Okay, so that's now stored. Eating disorders is now there. Now that's an alert based on your search strategy, on the PICO search, and then rerunning results. You've also got publications authority here, which details the publications that are indexed in this database. So if I do a search for psychology today, you'll see that appears. I click on that link. You have the ability to search within the publication directly, and the results will appear in the result list. You see the bibliographic information, the website's there. All journals that are available, you can browse them. That will click through. You'll click through, and that will show that issue within the result list. But importantly, if you want to set an alert, you can click the tools menu, create the alert, and this will allow you to be notified of new content for this date for this particular publication. And then if you want to be alerted to full text only, you can be, and then you can receive an email once you've created it, as well as an email when issues or articles are added, and then create the alert. So this will just allow you to keep up to date with the literature in relation to psychology and behavioral sciences for this particular journal. And again, if you go to alerts, you'll see that displayed here. Okay, so again, you can go into the tools menu, you can edit it. So for example, if you decide you only want to receive this, or you just want to change the name or whatever it might be, or if you want to extend it. So for example, it would prompt you 30 days before it's due to expire that it's going to end. So at that time, you can select, yes, I want to extend or renew my journal alert. Okay, and then you would save that. Okay, so just conscious of the time here. We are within time right now, but just to also point out to you, I click new search here. Either way, there is the help menu under research tools here. And that will give you, again, more information. Okay, so there's the FAQs page for the new interface. We also have matters of the advanced search, applying search modes and so on, which I didn't cover today. Searching with the Boolean operators, searching with wildcards, again, searching with full codes are all listed here. So again, you can browse that in your own time. So these pages are up to date as needed. And in addition to that, you'll see more information like creating and managing journal alerts or search alerts here as well, also again with step-by-step instructions and the screenshots. And there is also a tutorial assigned to this as well. So again, this all relates to the new EBSCOhost interface, which some of you will be transitioning to in the summer, most likely, and some have already done that, by the way. Okay, just to point that out to you. So what I'm going to do now is stop sharing. So we had live demonstration. A reminder then that we ran the PICO search, again combining the various elements of this search related to adolescents with eating disorders, comparing cognitive therapy with family-based therapy, etc. And you can see the different elements there combined in the search history, which is now displayed or can be displayed on the advanced search page. And again, a reminder that once you've identified a good article, a high quality article, then you can explore the abstract, you can check the subheadings, indeed the full text where appropriate for additional terms that you may want to factor into a future iteration of this search. So just to clarify then what training support we do provide for you in terms of using the interface, we do have obviously a number of useful pages. You just saw the quick start guide online. We also have one on using the PICO search app as well. So I didn't really get to show that to you today, but at least give you an idea of what that does. And then also search within wildcards and EDS in both discovery and also the EBSCOhost databases. So of course that's applicable to psychology and behavioral science collection. And also the matter of creating and managing search alerts in the new EBSCOhost user interface. And we have the equivalent one for journals as well. So if you explore that, you'll be linked to that also. So in terms of additional materials or links to training recordings, we do have the EBSCO UK YouTube channel. So training videos are uploaded there after being edited and made available to you. And then we have the upcoming training sessions. So again, I'm updating my schedule for the next month. So you'll see additional sessions appearing there for other databases, resources, etc. And then we have the EBSCO Connect main support portal. So EBSCO Connect, of course, is the main support site for yourselves, connect.ebsco.com. So that would include a range of products and services from EBSCO, and also tutorials, takeaway guides, user guides, promotional materials as well. And for those of you who have any technical issues with the data interface, so that would go whether you're using the classic interface currently, or whether this is for those in NHS England, by the way, using the hub, which is on the new platform, then you would raise a ticket through this page, through the NHS service desk. Okay, so please initially contact the service desk for any technical issues they're experiencing are having, and then they'll escalate to EBSCO as needed. So I'm happy to stop here. Obviously, you can contact me directly at rcrooks@ebsco.com for any follow-up or any future trainees that you have, of course, especially as you look to develop these sessions to ensure that we're meeting your need. Now, I appreciate, again, those of you in NHS England do not yet have access to the new interface largely, so this is really kind of a foretaste of what to experience once you've transitioned to that. Happy to stop here. So thank you very much for joining today.